Well, good evening, my lovelies. Welcome back to the secret throne room of Camilla, the Queen of Constantia, and member of the Real Housewives of Cape Town, for those who haven't met me before. Sabona, Molweni, and Dumela. Okay, so I appear to have been missing in action, fallen off the planet, and not going to be doing a review of the Real Housewives of Durban this week. Not true. I'm afraid I've had a bit of a tummy bug, but I'm back. Here I am, and let's go for it. For those of you who haven't watched my channel before, I do work from notes from my little Real Housewives book, and I don't edit, I just flow. So occasionally I may stumble, I will look down at my notes, just bear with me, that's the way I roll. So let's get going. Before I do, let me have a little sip of my non-alcoholic bubbly. I don't drink. Yummy. Oh, and at the end, I'm going to be announcing a couple of prizes that I'm going to be giving when I reach 250 subscribers. So remember to please subscribe to my channel. Very, very important. Hit the like button. It helps my YouTube algorithm, which means I can bring you more and better content. And hit the notification bell if you want to be reminded when I put up my reviews. And also, I am currently reviewing the Real Housewives of Gqeberha, and I am going to start reviewing the Real Housewives of Nairobi this week. My review of Real Housewives of Gqeberha will be up tomorrow without fail. Promise, promise, promise. Okay, let's get going. So, we begin with Nonku's party, her end of celibacy party. Nonku is busy clearing out the cobwebs, darlings, just where we left off last week. And Sarisha is busy leaving. Sarisha's sticking to her word. Sarisha said, if I go to a function and Sane is there, I'm going to leave. She's also been prompted to do this by hearing from Jojo that Sane has said some really nasty things about Annie sleeping her way to the top. And, you know, all respect to Sarisha, she's sticking to her guns. I don't have a problem with that. Anyway, but the thing is, she does meet Nonku out in the driveway, and Nonku says to her, look, won't you please come back in, Sarisha? There's just one thing I'd like to do with you, one special little event, and then go. And Sarisha says, my security's about to arrive. And I think given that her security's about to arrive, she could have just maybe bent the rules just a little bit and gone in and done whatever the special thing that Nonku wanted to do with her was, which we now know was the releasing of the doves. So, yeah, I was just a little bit on the fence with that. I thought Sarisha could have waited for her security, gone in, done that, and then pushed off. But I have admiration for Sarisha for now that she's found out Sane's history with hitmen and the lot, sticking to her guns and doing what she said she would do. Anyway, moving on. So I just want to say Nonku looks absolutely divine, bridal almost, you know, for this, all in white. She comes running onto the beach, and there's this kind of, you know, sort of almost slow motion. Yeah, what was it? I'm gonna run to you. Whoa, very dramatic. And then we see the Queen. Lovely to see the Queen again. Never lacking in self-confidence, the Queen. Somebody says to her, I think it's Ruan, you look lovely. And she says, I know. It's fabulous. Love that for you, darling. Sorry. It's brilliant. Oh, and then we get amateur shade from Slee. Aren't doves for funerals? Well, Slee, no, you're wrong. They are for peace, love, and innocence. And in fact, the use of doves for peace, love, and innocence begins in the Bible, in Genesis, where Noah releases the dove holding the olive branch out from the ark in order to test if the flood waters have receded. and he does it again after a week and then another week. And that is the first reference of the use of releasing doves in sort of a ritualistic way, and it also appears in the Quran and in the Torah, the Hebrew texts. For peace, love, and innocence. They are, of course, used at funerals, but at weddings as well, and celebrations. Peace, love, and innocence. And hope. So you're wrong. And I just want to say, amateur shade hour, I think you're going to have to up your game when it comes to shade. Nonku then mentions Sarisha and Annie not being there as being the doves that flew away. Now, this sort of implies to me that Annie was invited but didn't come, rather than her not inviting Annie. So there's a sort of unanswered question there for me. Did Annie snub? We don't receive an answer to that. Or did she not invite Annie? The fact that sort of Sarisha and Annie weren't there, she says, yeah, I don't know. Let's find out. Maybe we will find out. Maybe we won't. But yeah, just a question hanging in the air for me. And then Jojo begs the doves to bring peace to the group. And all I want to say is, fat chance, Jojo, not gonna happen. Anyway, so a beautiful table, and then we meet Dumsani, who, yeah, he's officially there to sort of, do a bit of a sort of clean out of of Nonku's nether regions. Sounds lovely, open sesame, I suppose I could say, without sort of wanting to get into too much detail. But great, Nonku, I hope it went well. And then Maria calls him the Tinder swindler. Not once, but twice. And Maria, I want to say, if you're going to do that sort of thing, you need to bring receipts, honey. And I say this as the queen of receipt bringing. Yeah, I got famous for bringing receipts. So if you need a few tips, call me. But otherwise, if you're going to make claims like that, you must bring receipts. We want to see them. Please, will you bring receipts next week? I can't wait. Okay, so then we move on to, there they are, they're sitting around the table, and there is Sane sitting on her phone, looking totally disengaged. It's extremely rude, Sane. I know you're doing it on purpose. I see you. You're doing it on purpose because nobody's looking at you and you're not getting the reaction that you would like. So now you're doing this. And yeah, I just want to say go home. Really, if you're that bored, go home. But actually, I think you're waiting to cause some sort of provocation, because I think you've got stuff lined up that you plan to do. And guess what? I get proved right later. Because, yeah, so you're being disrespectful. And, and then you say that you're looking for a message on your phone to find someone who's going to call you so that you can no longer be celibate. And I just want to say, no wonder you're celibate, judging by your behavior. Yeah, so Nonku, as I said, looks very bridal and everything seems to be rosy and the queen is sprinkling rose petals, and then all of a sudden, Nonku turns around and says to Sane, Sarisha left because of you. And then starts all the drama. But suddenly, before the drama can start, Slee says, well, I'm not staying for this. There's too much bad energy, and that Sane sort of represents the devil for her. Now, I mentioned in an earlier review that I saw demonic energy in Sane. So I have to say, Slee, I absolutely agree with you. But on the other hand, you have been cast in Real Housewives of Durban. And if you cannot handle this kind of energy, and you can't keep yourself together, and you can't stay at functions and stand up for yourself and maintain yourself, and that you're getting up and leaving all the time, then I'm not sure that you should be on this show. You need to have the strength of character to maintain your position and stay at functions. You can't be walking out all the time. Although I do agree with you about the energy. But, if you have the spiritual power for the sense of good, you need to be able to fight evil with good and maintain and stay. Anyway, so Sane then, of course, says, well, I didn't do anything and I'm not the cause of Sarisha leaving and I too am going to leave. But before she leaves, wow. Okay, I said last week that Sarisha could power a whole town, but I think also she's an employee of Afrox Gas, because before she leaves, she has the cheek to read out a verse from the Bible. Romans 12, verse 18, she reads, in an epic episode of gaslighting, she says, if it's possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Oh, Sunday, the peaceful. How lovely of you to read that out to us. And then in the very next second, before she leaves, she says in a very peaceful tone to Nonku, don't stick your nose where it doesn't belong. And then on that very peaceful note, she leaves. Oh, she's such a blessing to us all. A peaceful, benevolent blessing. How lovely. You know what, Slee? You should have waited and let her do that and then let her leave. So, then Annie's outside having a chill and a vape on her patio. We see her outside and her husband arrives and she starts to have a chat to him about her lazy eye and possibly having surgery, with Jojo having an eyebrow lift. And they have a lovely chat, and he's saying, quite rightly, that you shouldn't listen to the social media mob, and that if she wants to do surgery, she should really do it for herself. Annie, I want to say, you may notice, if you watch me closely when I'm doing my videos, that the one side of my face slopes down. So when I was married to my now deceased ex-husband, he strangled me until I passed out. I was basically unconscious near death, and I had a mini stroke. And from that day until now, I suffered from epilepsy, but it also gave me facial paralysis on one side of my face, which is now largely rectified, but the one side of my face slopes down slightly. And when I talk, now most people don't notice this. This is what I'm trying to say. But if you watch me closely, you'll see that one side of my face is sunken and my lips don't lift up at the same rate. Now, it's the same with your lazy eye. What I can tell you is that most people don't notice. And I think that we ourselves are much more aware of our own faults than others are. So it's like I've had comments made about various things on my anatomy. When I first started Housewives, I was told that I was overweight. I was told that I was too old for Housewives. There are many things that you get that are hurtful. And the point is, it's how you look at yourself. And I think your husband was so right when he said, you're never going to change the mind of the haters. The haters are going to hate. It's your self-love. And if you want to do a job on your lazy eye for your own self-love, then absolutely do it. But don't do it for the benefit of others. And that was a lovely scene between the two of you. Your husband adores you, clearly, and he has your interests at heart, and his advice was absolutely correct and very, very wise. And that was an adorable scene. And I totally relate to what you're going through, because I've been through similar stuff. So I just thought I'd give you that with love. So moving on to next. Okay, so now this was a very strange scene for me. So Nonku and Mbali go to visit Slee, and I just in big capital letters have written weird and why. Okay, because repeatedly I have seen Slee say, Nonku, I am no longer friends with Nonku. Nonku is not my friend. Now, somehow this message seems to have escaped Nonku. Why is Slee letting Nonku into her home if she is not friends with Nonku? I am so glad I make notes of every episode and that I don't just watch and then do this off the cuff, because I can refer back. So now I'm going to have a little read of what I wrote down. I referred back and then I wrote down what Slee said in episode 1. In episode 1, Slee and Nonku had a disagreement over Slee's first meeting with Jojo. Then that was their first disagreement, and Slee basically said that Nonku was just not a very nice person, and that she didn't like Jojo, and that Nonku was going to throw Jojo out like a toy, and she was basically, I felt rude and disagreeable at that meeting, but nonetheless, Nonku then went over to patch things up. Episode 2, Nonku backed Jojo up after the story with Calvin, and Nonku said that she heard the same thing that Jojo said, and over Calvin hooking Slee up with someone. And Slee said, my friendship with Nonku is over. So the actual quote was, the friendship is over. Those were the 3 words that she used. Right, in episode 3, she visits Nonku, they have a chat, and she says to Nonku, you stabbed me in the back. Those are the words that she used. Nonku was sort of trying to, and then Nonku apologized, she did not take her words back and say, I'm sorry you didn't say those things. She said, I definitely heard you say to Calvin that you'd like to meet someone, that you'd like to go to the tattoo parlor, but I apologize if you felt uncomfortable or whatever. I didn't understand why Nonku was apologizing. Slee was ice cold during that interaction, and once again said, I don't think Nonku is my friend. Okay, so we've got that. That was episode 3. So now Slee, so now Nonku stands by what she heard, and Nonku on that occasion gave Slee a gift, which Slee promptly discarded and said, that's it, right, doesn't fit, don't like it, and that's it, I'm not keeping it, right. So clearly there is no friendship. So what is happening? Why are Nonku and Mbali going to visit Slee? Nonku clearly doesn't realize that Slee thoroughly dislikes her. The message hasn't got through. So off they go. They are not friends is what I've written here in capital letters. Okay, so here we have fake hugs, air kisses, everybody arrives, and then something really strange happens. So now you have Mbali, Nonku, and Slee, and they sit down and they have a chat about their relationships, which is the kind of chat that I would have with my friends that I've known for 10 or 20 years. Now these women, Slee has moved into Nonku's neighborhood fairly recently, and Mbali met Nonku and Slee about 5 minutes ago, from what I can gather, and they now sit down and they have an in-depth chat about their relationships, like really in depth. So Slee and Mbali are giving Nonku advice about her relationship with Dumsani and whether she should get married, when to introduce their kids to one another, blah, blah, blah. How on earth can you have these kind of in-depth relationship chats with people that you don't know? Look, I get it. It's Housewives. It makes it interesting. But there is no way that people that you hardly know can give you this type of in-depth relationship advice, because they don't know you and the way that you operate. And then Mbali, and anyway, Nonku's going to do what she's going to do. So it's irrelevant what they said. And then we move on to Mbali, who's having a chat about her chap, who she's known for much longer, and his financial situation, which is also a bit odd. I mean, the thing is in Bali, if he loves you and you want to be with him, and he is financially not in the same position or the position that you'd like him to be, you are going to have to take it on board that you're going to have to be the breadwinner, and that's it. And be very careful bringing this kind of stuff up in the public eye, because remember that you're then going to go out with the chap in public and people are going to judge him based on his abilities as an earner. However, I must say that artists are allowed to be fluid financially because they're creatives, and that's okay. I mean, Picasso, was an outstanding exception, but Gauguin and Van Gogh were extremely poor in their own lifetimes, and that is a tragedy, but it happens. Most world famous artists only make a lot of money after their death, unless they're really weird, like Tracy Emin, and make a fortune for selling an unmade bed, or like Damien Hirst, who makes a fortune from putting a dead shark in formalin and selling it in a glass tank. But the world is weird, and often Emperor's New Clothes sell really well. The world is weird. Fine art often doesn't do well until people are dead, sadly. It's just the world is strange. So I just think it's weird. A lot of the time I find Mbali very quiet and recessive on the show. She's very much in the background, and I am wondering if this is why they brought Sane into the show to spice it up. But if so, then why didn't they make her a full-time cast member? I'm actually finding that I'm seeing Sane more than I would like. I find Mbali very sweet, but I'm not feeling that she's adding very much to the show. To me. Hashtag just saying. Okay, so then we've got the spa. Spa day, Maria and Sane, and I'm going to say I feel that I'm seeing too much of Sane. I just don't need to see this much of her. She's not a full-time cast member. What's she doing there all the time? She's irritating me. So Sane talks about the first night that she met everybody, and she says to Maria, I don't know what went wrong. Plug her in again, Escom. Oh, this is just crazy. I don't know what went wrong. Gaslight, gaslight, gaslight. And then Sane says, the cheek of it, all the girls who don't like her are evil. So, because Maria has just rattled off that it's Jojo, that it's Annie, and that it's Sarisha. They are all evil. My mother used to say, when all the rest of the world is wrong, look at yourself. Sane, mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's evil? I can tell you who it is. You. Right. Yeah, I thought that was actually very funny. Hilarious. Yeah. And then we move on. Jojo goes to meet Slee. Well, we could tell how this was going to end before it even started. So they sat there, and Jojo must have reached out, by the way, for this meeting, because Slee says, before it even starts, she says, I really don't want to even go to this meeting. I don't want to be there. Yet another example of Slee not wanting to be in the space. And another example of me saying, is she really the right person for Real Housewives of Durban? She doesn't want to seem to engage. Yeah, but she goes. And they sit down and they thrash it out. And all that happens is basically that they agree to disagree. Okay, so Jojo says she's got a short temper. She says she stands by her position. She says she shouldn't have said things in the way that she said them. Yes, I agree, Jojo, you shouldn't. You did have a point of view. You do have a short temper. It can be very amusing to watch you, I must say, and your Housewives material just for that short temper, which is fabulous to watch. It then worries me because Slee starts saying, I started laughing, and after I start laughing, I want to throw hands. Now that is a problem, because physical assault is always a problem. And Slee has said that she's a very spiritual woman. And I'm asking myself whether this is something that she has had a problem with in the past before she went on her spiritual journey, and whether her leaving is a way of stopping herself from going there. And that is part of her spiritual journey, whether she has an internal battle to stop herself from getting physical. Because physical fights are often something that we get into when we're young. I've never done it, but sometimes when we're children, if we, something in our background, and we may have learned that physical defense is the only form of defense that we have, and then we go on a spiritual journey and we move away from that, but then that anger comes up within us and we feel it, and we don't want to go there, especially as part of our spiritual journey, so we have to leave. And I'm wondering if Slee is caught in this internal battle where she feels that rage and then she has to remove herself, and maybe that's part of her having to remove herself all the time. This is just a question that I'm asking myself, and maybe you who are watching me may have some feedback or commentary for me. Please always leave me comments in the comment section below, whether they are disagreements or agreements. I find them fascinating and I'd love to engage with you. Anyway, then we see Maria and Monkey Alex going for a snow skiing day. It looks amazing. I want to go. Excuse me, I'm just going to have a sip. Maria, it's lovely to see you engaging with your son. I have a son who's 16, and I have a daughter who is 18. My daughter, who is 18, is challenged. She has, she's on the autism spectrum, and she also has ADHD. I have to treat my kids very differently. You have a wonderful and friendly relationship with your son, although I love the way he challenges you about you being spoiled. That's hilarious. I just want to talk about, your homework and exam thing and careers and all of that. I do know, I also have a 31-year-old son, so I've been around the block with this. And I can certainly say from my experience that it is nigh on impossible for a 14-year-old to know what they want to do. Absolutely, really, really difficult. And often you will even get to 21 or 25 and have a complete career change and end up doing something completely different from what you thought you were going to do. That's number one. Number two is that I do feel that schools will, in fact, the best thing to do, and this is just my opinion, is to let your child sink or swim. And do you know, failing a whole cycle of exams is one of the best lessons that your child can ever learn. Really. Because it's damn scary for them. Specifically, exactly if it's mid-years, right? Obviously, rather not the end of the year. But even then, do you know the humiliation of failing a year and being kept back? I know you would think that was ghastly and that they'd feel awful, but the threat of that coming, and maybe even having to move schools, because it is such a learning curve. Let your child educate themselves in all sorts of ways. This is just one mother to another. But sitting on them and forcing them doesn't work. People learn by, even kids learn by experience. They sink or swim. It is far the better way. But I'm not your shrink, and I'm not your teacher, Maria. This is just from one mother to another. I just think that if you pull back and you just let him float, and I mean, because you said the teachers aren't doing their jobs. Well, if they're not doing their jobs, your kid's not at the right school then. Yeah, but he seems like a wonderful boy. He does. And then there was that funny bit about will you cook. Now, I get terribly busy and I don't cook, but you know what the funny thing is? When I do cook, my kids love it so, so much. They're so grateful because there's something about that motherly love of when just a mum has just produced just one meal every now and then, they just love it. I don't know what it is. But if I just go and make a spaghetti bolognese or macaroni cheese or just something basic, just even burger and chips or, I mean, oh, I sound like a very healthy cook, don't I? But you know what I mean? They just love it every now and then if mom cooks. So I think I get where he's coming from. He's a sweet kid. Okay, anyway, Maria, you're an amazing mom. He clearly loves you. And yes, you are gorgeous. And that helps a lot too. I love that scene. Okay, so moving on. Had a bit of a sort of mom to mom talk there, and Maria's not even in the room. So now we get to Slee and Sarisha, and this is a weird scene. We now go right back to episode 1. They meet at U&G Fabrics, and Slee's saying it's one of her favorite places, and Sarisha asks Slee why Slee left her party. It wasn't episode 1, it was episode 2. Why Slee left her party early. Huh? Okay, and then Slee talks all about Sane and then her having a fight with Jojo, and because Slee said that she called Sane a caterer, and then Jojo got all cross with her about Calvin and being hooked up, and that she just... And then Slee says this was her opportunity to reintroduce herself to Sarisha because the first time she met her was so horrible. What? I don't get it. You have subsequently met Sarisha at her beauty salon, ULAS, which I always get wrong. And you then had a chat about Nonku, and Sarisha said that you were the level-headed and, what did she call you? Rational and sane friend that Nonku didn't know that she needed. So you had that chat. You had a chat to Sarisha at Jojo's princess party when she also pulled you to one side and said how lovely she thought you were and how mature and whatever. What is all this nonsense about you reintroducing yourself to Sarisha? I don't get it. It's just bizarre. It's all to do with you guys, you and Sarisha, constantly re-knitting yourself into some sort of weird little alliance crochet. Strange. It doesn't work for me. It's weird and it's unnecessary. We get that you two are hooking up. You don't need to prove it to us again. Okay, moving on. Annie's Land Rover day, lovely day. So Jojo gets in the back of the Land Rover, and obviously she tells Annie the story that Sane said about sleeping her way to the top. I loved it. Annie said, oh, so I'm sleeping with my husband. And you know what? Annie did just the right thing. She just turned around and she said, Sane's a mean bitch. That's all I have to say. She's just a mean bitch. She didn't overreact. She didn't go ballistic. And she appeared to just fob it off. Whether she's going to deal with Sane on another episode, I don't know. But she didn't go completely hysterical around the bend. She dealt with it the way it should be dealt with, as far as I'm concerned. Well done, Annie. Okay. And off-road driving, great fun. It appeared to be a good day to me. Then they sat down and they all talked about Nonku and Nonku's relationship with Dumi and blah, blah, blah. And then Slee comes out with, we can support our friend. Slee, if you call her a friend one more time, I'm going to get really cross because you have overwhelmingly said she's not your friend. Stop it. You are telling fibs, and you have said that you are a spiritual lady. So why don't you just say, it would be lovely to give Nonku our support? Stop calling her your friend. You've told us she's not. Okay, and then, and you know what? That reminds me of what your spiritual father said to you, and I'm going to repeat it to you. Your spiritual father said, treat people equally and watch what you say to people. So stop saying she's your friend because we see through you, okay? And then you go on to say, as long as she's happy, she has my blessing. Until she's not. What on earth does that mean? And the second thing I want to say, does Nonku need your blessing? I don't think so. And the other thing is, Slee, is this a genuine, heartfelt blessing? Big question mark. Right. Then Nonku and Jojo go off and they have a wine tasting. I must say the best laugh of the night went to Jojo when she reacted to the cock should always be wet. That was funny. Okay, so they have a chat about Slee, and Nonku is definitely fishing with Jojo to see if Slee has been chatting about her behind her back. Well, Nonku, it's about time, because you have been, still seem to be under the misapprehension that Slee is your friend. And finally, you have, now Jojo is going to let you in on the fact that she's not. From my point of view, it is obvious that Slee has made no bones about never liking Jojo from the very beginning. I mean, she came on and she said she didn't. From the moment she clapped eyes on her. She told Jojo that Nonku was going to throw her away like a toy when she finished with her. And the fact that Jojo is very protective of her friendship with Nonku definitely didn't help that situation. What Slee said. That inflamed that situation. So clearly, from that moment on, Jojo couldn't stand Slee. I mean, nothing was going to change. Those two were going to loathe one another from the word go. Now, I'm going to go back to my notes right here, what I wrote on episode 1. I'm just going to check what I said. So, on episode 1, Slee said about the two of them, Tweedledum and Tweedledee, I have no thoughts. And I said, I think she has plenty of thoughts. Now, I stand by that. I think that Slee has been jealous of their friendship from the very beginning. That's number 1. Number 2, I said, Slee and Nonku are not friends. This was in episode 1. Number 3, I said, Slee does not like Jojo and never will. We're now on episode 4. It's all coming to pass. Right, I'm going to go back to where I am. So, wine tasting. So, what I can't understand is why it's taken Nonku so long to see that Slee is a frenemy. But, of course, she hasn't heard Nonku saying over and over again, my friendship with Nonku is over, I don't like Nonku. Nonku, hasn't heard that. So that's all, we've been watching it, but Nonku hasn't heard it. So Jojo tells her about she has my blessing until she doesn't, etc., etc. And they decide that they are going to meet up and they are going to confront Slee and clear it all up. Stir. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so then we meet Mbali and her fiance, and they discuss trying for a baby. Obviously, she's only got one fallopian tube because she had an ectopic pregnancy, so this could be a little hard. Plus the fact that they have not yet brought their parents together, so they do not yet, I would believe, have permission for a marriage. Perhaps lobola hasn't been paid, so that's also a difficulty. Plus the fact that Mbali does not have a relationship with her mother. So how can they bring their parents together? Maybe they should consider being less traditional. I don't know. We're going to see how that unfolds. That appears to be Mbali's kind of storyline. Let's see. Anyway, But I do wish her the best in trying for a baby. I really do. She's had a terrible time with regard to children. So now we have Slee, Nonku, and Jojo. They meet up. Well, the stars were never going to be aligned well for this one, were they? So Jojo and Slee, oh dear, I have a dog who's just come in. Hello, Buttons. Why don't you come and sit on my knee? Come on, Uppy. Uppy. Come on, up you get. Up. No, he's not going to get up. He's a lovely dog. So Jojo and Slee are obviously back to square one. They're arguing away about the Calvin thing. I'm not even going to go there. It's just stupid. So I'm going to just leave that behind. But then they say that Slee said that she was going to keep Nonku grounded. Now, that is actually an unfair accusation. It was Sarisha who said that, and I'm fully on Slee's side when it comes to this. Slee never said that. But Slee did say that she had to support Nonku's relationship as a friend, Nonku's new relationship. She did say, I have to support this relationship as a friend. Now, I just want to point out to you, Slee, I'm going to say it again. You have repeatedly said that you are not Nonku's friend. So you are being inauthentic. You are repeatedly being inauthentic. And that is why you are sitting here with these ladies today, because you are being inauthentic. And that is what they are sensing with you. Okay, so they may be getting their words wrong, and I know it was Sarisha who said that you were keeping Nonku grounded, not you yourself, but they are pulling you up because of your inauthentic behavior in general. Okay, so you did say that as long as Nonku is happy, she has your blessing until she's not. That is a very uncomfortable blessing. It's not a real blessing. It's an inauthentic blessing, especially from somebody who claims to be deeply spiritual. Okay? At first glance, this does come across as a gang up of 2 against 1. But I have gone back through my notes, as I said, and I have looked at the many times she has said, Nonku is no longer my friend. Tweedledum and Tweedledee. I don't like Jojo. Not, Slee is not their friend. These ladies have sensed something about her. They're spot on. They are calling her out for her inauthentic behavior towards Nonku. And they may have got their facts slightly wrong, but when she says now, I am not your friend clearly, and you don't want to be my friend clearly. I wrote here, episode 1, she says to Jojo, I don't like you because of Mabusi. She says the toy reference to Nonku. She says about to Jojo, you're going to be thrown away like a toy when Nonku's finished with you. And then she says, you do not wish to fix our friendship. Nonku tried to patch up with you after the first introduction to Jojo and to Sarisha. She tried. After the second big drama, where she backed Jojo up about what happened with Calvin, and she said she did hear the same thing. You came over, and Nonku said to you, look, I stand by what I heard, but I apologize if you felt uncomfortable. I'm really sorry. Let's stay friends. Nonku made yet another attempt to stay friends. You took the birthday gift. You said, I'm not interested in it. She doesn't like me. I'm not interested in her. And there's an end to it. Once more, you said, there's an end to it. So the point is, you've now said you're done with this friendship for the 3rd time, Slee. I really hope that this is 3rd time lucky and that you mean it. That you're really done with this friendship. Because I'm tired of you saying that you're no longer friends with Nonku and then going back and pretending that you are. Don't be friends with her. It's boring. Okay? I hope you mean it. Anyway, you walk out. You say you're done with it. Oh, good. It looks like Nonku and Slee are finally done. Yay! Yippee! And that is the end of my review for today, people. Now, as I said, I will be offering a gift for lucky subscribers, 10 of you, when I reach 250. So it'll be 5 airtime, 100 Rand airtime vouchers and 5 t-shirts of taglines from my lines on Real Housewives of Cape Town. So for those of you who haven't seen them, I'm going to show you 5 of them. I have 12, so I will show you the different ones for the winners when I pick the winners from random subscribers. So here is one of them. Stay in your lane, which is what I said to poor Ulu. Shame. Nasty me. Hold on a minute, please. I just dropped the bag. Luckily, I didn't drop the ball. Anyway, see my nice Real Housewives bag. Aren't I lucky? That was from our Real Housewives of Africa Summit. Here's another one. Sit down and shut up. And another one. Let's have a look what we've got in here. Da, 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 da. Dee, 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 dee. I have not been known to lose. Right. Oh, my personal favorite. I love this one. I wear Gucci. Next week, I'll show you some of the others, and I will shortly be putting up my store so that you can buy them as well. And, oh, that's the one's the wrong way around. And last one, I just don't care. There we go, my darlings. So I hope you have a wonderful evening. I will see you earlier next week with my review. For those of you who are watching Real Housewives of GQ, please join me tomorrow night, and I will soon be starting Real Housewives of Nairobi. It's been real. Love you lots. Bye.